come to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the village board meeting of January 9th. Roll call, please.
Caperos,
Here.
Possession, Giannotti,
Here.
Theory,
Here.
Stacy,
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
Okay, you've got minutes in your packet from our last meeting, which was December 12th. Does anyone have any changes, additions, deletions? If not, can we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second. Roll call.
Caperos,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Theory,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Okay. Under recognition of audience, I'm going to recognize Mr. Pistorius first, so that we can kind of get you moving.
All right, very good. Well, thank you.
This would fall under
This is-
Jonathan's
yeah.
Finance Committee.
Well, good evening. Congratulations on your successful referendum. And so tonight, we're here for the final step in the bond issue process. And so what I've passed out to each of you, the final maturity schedule with regards to the issue. And we approached a number of folks. We approached 2 local banks. We approached somewhere between 250 and 300 folks throughout. And we only ended up with 1 bid with regards to this. Things are a little slow out there with the marketplace and kind of how the financial world is at this point. But we did get a nice bid, and it came from the Kewanee National Bank. And so in Kewanee, Illinois, they are the ones that are agreeing to purchase your bonds. As you can see in the interest rate column, the final interest rate, and this includes all the costs of issuance, plus a premium that we're paying you as well, and I'll talk about that here in a moment, but the interest rate, the net interest cost came in at 5.45%. Now, if you remember when on our election question that we adopted back this summer, July, we had to put an interest rate in the question itself. And that interest rate we put in there was 5.9%. That over the 20 years, we had to be under that. And so we were happy that that happened, because at one point when the Fed was raising rates at 0.75%, about every other month, it got our attention a little bit. So we were starting to think we were going to be pushing the 5.9 at some point. But we came in about 0.5% less than that. So pleased about that. The way the structure is, and a couple of important things with regards to the schedule, the bond amount is $3,950,000, and that's what you will receive. We will wire those to you. You can see the dated date on the top left of the schedule is January 26th. That is the day we will wire the funds to you. Okay? Now, if you look at the principal and interest levy column in the middle, you can see that the gross levy is that $290,000 number, but then under that you'll see less capitalized interest. One of the things we needed to do, that levy was coming in higher than what we told folks in the community your tax rate would be. It was going to put us about 32 cents. The worst case scenario that we had told folks would be it would be 28.45 cents. Okay? So we have sold the bonds with a premium, and we are going to pay you from the sale of the bonds $48,328.50. That money is instructed in the ordinance to go into your bond and interest fund. You don't get to keep that to spend it. It has to go towards paying the bonds back. But by doing that, you can see the far right column, that puts your tax rate under the 28.45 at 28.11 as far as a percent tax rate, okay? So we did sell them. That's factored into the final interest rate, as well as the costs of issuance for bond attorneys and ourselves as the underwriter, which we agreed to up in the very beginning. So
Just to clarify that,
that capitalized interest is because we have to cover an additional 4 months of interest on these bonds because of how the tax levy years.
That's part of it. The other part of it is when you do a levy, so for example, I'll use this as an example. This will catch the 2022 levy. That's gonna be the first levy. That's important, because if we didn't catch this last December's levy, your first levy would
We've
be
been
next
another 12
December.
months. Yeah.
Your first bond payment wouldn't be until December of '24. So that's 2 years' worth of interest on $4 million. So that's why it's important we caught that. The other thing that's important about the levy is that we always have to catch the following year's interest. So when we did the December levy, those monies are gonna be on the tax bills this summer. So you're gonna get the tax money in the late summer, fall timeframe, which will allow you to make your December 1 payment, okay, in '23. But we also have to account for the following June interest payment. And so that's part of the reason that we have to offset that
So
first
we
year's
will,
levy.
we will keep our bond, now that I hear that, we'll keep our bond and redemption account for paying bonds. We'll have to open a new account to put these GO bonds in.
Okay.
So, and then basically, so that's how that will work, and we've got that covered. We're able to deliver, you're able to deliver to the community what we told them we would as far as a tax rate and so forth. And when we started this, I think my first conversation with Bob was back in April. Interest rates were a lot different then than they are now. So we've seen a pretty solid progression, several, I think we had 4 3/4% increase in that time frame. And so this is where we ended up, and this is where they agreed to purchase the bonds at. So
Can you tell them about the call feature?
Yeah, the call.
I was here 7 years, I was getting ready to.
Okay.
So that's a good thing. So in December 1 of 2029, the bonds are callable. You can call them in 90 days prior to that, or September 1st. So basically, that's something we just want to keep an eye on, because by that time, interest rates will be different. And if there's a chance to restructure the debt at that time, there's no penalty to do so because they're callable. And you might then have some savings to the citizens with regards to that, as far as the overall structure. So it's something that our firm, we keep a master list of all the call dates, and so we kind of pay attention to it. I think the bond attorneys also keep attention to that as well. But we stay on top of it every year. So we always have a current list of the bonds that are callable. That was important. Now,
I have a question.
yes.
The call is only on our behalf, right? The bank can't call it?
That's correct,
Okay.
yeah. The bank probably prefers they don't get called, at some point. But, yeah, it's in your lap in regards to that. The bond ordinance itself is about 25 pages thick, and I'm just gonna hit a couple other highlights on it. Are there any other questions with regards to the schedule to make sense? Okay, good. The bond ordinance itself has a few other things, and again, this is the end of a process. We had to adopt an election question, which we did, that had to get to the clerk's office by a certain date. We have accomplished all of that, and then the question was on the ballot. The clerk had a number of things to do. They had to publish the notice in the paper and so forth. We saw all that through, and everything went through fine. So you have the authority to issue these bonds. The couple other things I wanted to point out to you is that the Kewanee National Bank will be the bond registrar paying agents. They will be the ones that send you the invoices, and then you will make your payments directly to them. There is a fee for that service. It's $500 a year, and so that's part of their fee to handle that process for you. The other thing I kind of wanted to point out to you is that this document is what gets filed with the county clerk's office. And it says the clerk will take care of that, we do that for them. And so you don't have to worry about that.
Thanks.
We will have a filing certificate, and this document is then the county clerk's instruction as to what to levy each year, okay? So you don't even have to put anything on your tax extension sheet,
Although we
just
do.
that you have a bond. But you technically don't have to do that, just because this is the document they will refer to. And I double checked the levies that were in here, and they match up perfectly with the schedule, so we're in good shape with that. There is another section in here that I do want to call your attention to. It's called arbitrage. Basically, that's an IRS term, and the IRS, these bonds are issued on a tax-favored basis, and so there's advantages to the buyers with regards to that. They get some certain deductions and write-offs. Basically, from January 26th, you have 3 years to spend the money, and no questions asked. You can earn as much money on the proceeds as possible, and if you keep a distinction of that, you can keep that, the interest earned. That's your money, and you can do whatever you want with the interest earnings off the bond proceeds. However, if your project's delayed, whatever could cause it to go beyond 3 years, not a big deal. But we do need to have a conversation with the bond attorneys at that time, because you actually become what is called yield restricted. You cannot earn more than the bondholder yield. Now, the bondholder yield, Bob saw it, it's 4.93%. That's what the bank's earning with this issue. And so you can't earn more than that. You would owe that to the IRS if you did. And then at that time, 3 years from now, you also are limited to certain types of investments that you can have the money in. And again, we get to that point in that conversation, we get the bond attorneys to have a conversation with you to help you through that process, through what is called the arbitrage rebate. So it's just something I kind of want to put in the back of your heads, that hopefully you'll spend the money within the 3 years. I always tell folks, when you do a project like you're going to do, spend the bond money first. Don't spend the grant money unless you're on a deadline with it, but spend the bond proceeds first, then you'll avoid the IRS situation.
And I would assume the bond proceeds have to be fully collateralized in public securities with the bank that's holding the money.
Yes, absolutely. And then lastly, we will provide a transcript. There was a lot of paperwork signed tonight, and a lot of closing documents for upcoming close date. Chapman and Cutler will provide a complete transcript. Usually takes 2 or 3 months from once we close before you have it. But we'll have a copy in our office. If you need anything in the interim, just contact us. We're happy to provide you with whatever. But you will get a transcript, and it'll have from start to finish all the paperwork on the bond issue. And that'll be your permanent record then with regards to this issue. So, anything else? Thank you very much. And keep up with the project.
Yeah, thanks for all your help with that.
Very
Yes,
nicely
thank
done.
you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Would be appropriate now probably to vote on that.
To do the vote, yeah.
Sure.
And it's 1384.
You have to read it word for word, John, sorry. 1384, Mayor?
Yes.
Consider an ordinance providing for the issuance of general obligation bonds series 2023 of the Village of Beecher for the purpose of building and equipping a public safety facility for the Beecher Police Department and the payment of the expenses incident thereto, providing for the levy and collection of a direct annual tax sufficient for the payment of the principal and interest of said bonds, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof. So I will go ahead and make a motion to approve ordinance 1384, providing for the issuance of general obligation bonds, series 2023 of the village, for the purpose of building and equipping a public safety facility for the Beecher Police Department, and the payment of the expense incident thereto, providing for the levy and collection of a direct annual tax sufficient for the payment of the principal and interest of said bonds and authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof.
There's a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Discussion? Roll call?
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Genati,
Yes.
Caprows.
Yes.
And possession is absent. if you're
Yes,
taking
I
notes.
got it. I've got him down there. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay. Does anyone else in the audience wish to address the board?
May I?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Board members, I'm Stephen D. Hahn from S&K Security. I run a fire alarm company out of Beecher, Illinois, and been doing it for many years. I recently had lost a customer of mine due to an ordinance that you guys had enacted, I guess, last year. For the monitoring of the fire alarm systems has to go to Laraway Dispatch. Nobody else can monitor. And under the grandfather clause, whatever, I guess there's like until 2024 or something, you have until that time frame to change over your monitoring. If you did a pretense to that, which would be by the end of 2022, you wouldn't have to pay for any equipment costs to install the equipment. Now, the customer I lost was an already existing customer I've had for many years, and the equipment they put in was identical to what they've already had installed for monitoring. And I guess I'm just asking the board why the ordinance wasn't a little bit under the grandfather clause. I've already had something in place that was working and functional in the same direction other than the call-out part, where we actually dispatch to Laraway. We don't call it, it doesn't go directly into Laraway Dispatch. I'm just asking why it was changed, why they had to change it.
So this was technically not our ordinance?
It's not a village ordinance.
It's not?
I don't, no, we have nothing to do with fire alarm boards or anything like that.
Then why did they send a letter stating they had to do it then? That's through, who does that?
Could be through the Beecher Fire District or the 911 center. We don't have any jurisdiction over 911. I've heard of this rule before, but I don't think it's a locally imposed rule. It's a 911.
To my knowledge, it's like a Laraway 911 and like county enforced.
County
The
enforced.
county in Laraway decided to do this about a year ago. They wanted to make it standard across the board, make the dispatching faster. That way the alarms didn't go through a company, they went right to the alarm board at the dispatch center.
And I think the purpose of it is they don't want to be inundated with third-party calls into 911 when a major crisis hits, like a power failure, you get a lot of trouble alarms. If a storm rolls through, they want the alarm board to light up so they can see it, and it's automated now as opposed to someone calling 911 and saying we have a fire alarm in building 62 or whatever it is.
Yeah, we're not here to speculate why
Yeah.
county or dispatch or whatever did what they did. That's not our concern. I mean, the fact of the matter is that the village board passed no such ordinance affecting your business or causing any of this.
I thought it was
So-
part of a village
No,
ordinance
it
that
had
because
nothing to do with us, so, and I'm not here to speculate or who,
Yeah,
or
maybe you
their
need to reach
reasons
out
for
to
doing
them
it,
or,
but
you
I
know.
can just tell you it was not us.
Hey, did you get a letter you sent?
the customer did.
The customer did.
And was very upset about it actually, because the pricing was higher than mine on a monitoring basis. And the equipment was free as long as they got it done before the end of the year. But I would figure under a grandfather clause, if I still, from what I grew up with, a grandfather clause, is if you have something in place and it's functional, it's working, you don't need to change it until you do alterations to a building or structure of any type. Then you gotta change it and bring it up to code.
Yeah,
But if there is nothing,
I
if
would
it's
have-
nothing on our
No,
behalf,
so
so you gotta figure out where
I
that
would
came
have your
from.
customer, figure out where that letter came from and contact them, because it
Okay.
wasn't from us.
okay,
Does-
Alrighty?
yes.
That does include burglar alarms, does it? Do they have to, you don't know how that works, a burglar alarm?
Which I'm guessing they get a lot of burglar stuff, a lot of calls, that's probably why they're upset about it, unless there's a certain number. So I'll call Laraway then
Yep,
and find
that's
out
probably your best bet, yep.
who to get a
Touch
hold
base
of.
with them.
Alright, well, thank you for your
Alright,
time.
thank you.
Good luck to you.
Yep,
Good luck.
thanks.
Yep. Thank you. Alright, village clerk's report.
Total tax income received in the month of December is $210,469.03.
Alright. Village Commission, Beautification Commission,
Nothing to report, Mayor.
alright. 4th of July Commission, Trustee Kraus.
Thank you. Consider a motion authorizing the waiving of a formal bid process for the purchase of a raffle car as long as sealed proposals are sought from different dealers and open at the same time. This will allow the 4th of July Commission Car Raffle Committee to pick which type of vehicle they wish to raffle off for the 2023. It's the same process used as last year. This process is required because it is so difficult to obtain a bid on a specific make and model at one time due to inventory issues. This hybrid process actually produces more bids. Bid results will then be provided to the commission for a recommendation, via electronic mail or a meeting, and then be sent to the village board agenda sometime in March. The vehicle will then be delivered for the raffle process to begin. Bids are going to be sought at or below $30,000, which is the budget amount for the car. Dealers can also submit more than one bid, allowing for more bids to be obtained. New and used inventory will also be considered. New is preferred. I do actually have a question. That's mine. What new car consideration would be considered? Like what used? Why is that even consideration? Is there something somebody's looking at?
Currently, the car committee has been in search of a vehicle, and, we thought that at 30,000, we'd still be able to find something in stock and inventory, and currently that's even becoming a slight issue. So there has been discussion about possibly finding something that's like factory certified, as a used car, maybe a possible dealer demo, in that position. Not looking to go like, we're not talking like trying to buy like a 2015, we're trying to still stay within a, decent car, but it's just the stock right now of any size vehicle.
I get it.
Under 30,000 is kinda hard.
We just caution against that. I mean, you're gonna advertise to raffle off a used car. It's
Yeah.
probably wouldn't sound good.
No, absolutely. It has been done in the past though.
I think one year they did an Indy pace car.
Yeah.
They got it.
You're talking 20 years ago.
No,
Well, and I mean, if you guys can get an EV pace car, yeah, go for it at 30 grand.
So-
with that.
No.
But I'm not. that's-
Yeah, no, it's
that's
not,
what we're talking about here.
they are going through a lengthy process of, and trying to find something within the area, so they're working on it.
Okay, so, I'd like to make a motion authorizing the waiving of the formal bid process, for the purchase of a raffle car, as long as sealed proposals are sought from different dealers and open at the same time.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion?
Yeah. This is only for 1 year, right? For this year's
Just
car,
this
yeah.
year.
That's what we did.
What
This
happens
is
if
last
you
year.
don't get a bid for over 30? Or if nothing's
If they're under 30, then I'll have to go back to the commission to decide on it.
Commission only authorized 30.
We only authorize 30, so if we don't get anything under 30, it's gotta go back and we'll start the
So,
process.
because, I mean, we can give a real history on this, up until 2011, there was no bid process.
Yes.
It was just sought and the car was picked and purchased. And at the time, the village board felt it was appropriate that it go through a bid process. Because at the end of the day, it's commission, but it's still village dollars.
Absolutely.
I understand the predicament this year with it being difficult with getting new vehicles still, and, I mean, I know people with cars on order that still haven't gotten them 6 months later, but,
Yeah.
I still feel that it's appropriate to go through a bid process, and hopefully you receive numerous bids and make them comparable.
Any more discussion? Okay, roll call.
Caprows,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes, that's all I have.
Does anybody have any information on youth commission? We're gonna skip all of that.
I did attend the December meeting of the youth commission, and they were getting ready for they were recapping the breakfast with Santa. They had a they're planning a bowling event, Martin Luther King Day.
Day, so it's probably Monday,
Yeah, and they have a meeting coming up, and I think Jeanette's gonna attend that one, because they have some social media licensing issues we gotta fix with them, so. We're handling all Ben's out of town.
Okay.
They're also planning, I think, a day
daughter dance.
That's
The mommy's son, that's gonna be, yeah, March and February.
All right. Historic Preservation Commission?
Is that, you got any info for me? Well, I was out of town, I don't think there was any meetings or
No, there
anything,
was
right?
not. There was no meeting in December due to the holiday. The next meeting will be held on Wednesday, January 18th at 6 PM at the Depot, and the commission is still looking for new members.
Thank you.
All right. Is that in your report, trustee Kapoor?
Yes, it does.
All right, under my report, consider referral of intergovernmental agreement with the fire district for inspections and plan reviews to the Public Safety Committee for review and discussion with the district. So for a little bit of history for anybody who may be watching, in 2018, we signed, there was a lot of talk at the last meeting and some heated discussion with a prospective business owner about an IGA, is the way it was put. Stands for Intergovernmental Agreement, which we signed in 2018 when I was on village board between the village and the fire district to inspect current businesses. I was fully interested in this program. I think it was very important to have our businesses, their employees, anybody who comes in safe in case there's a fire. They were inspecting for fire extinguishers, exits that were clearly marked, that were clear of debris, etc. So, the first year it started, our fire chief, bless his heart, went out. He's a local guy, so he went out and did all the inspections the first year, and as expected, there was some pushback from a lot of the businesses. So he kind of took it on the chin that first year and got the program started. And then there have been a few inspectors since then. So at this point, we've had, the people that came to the last meeting had an issue with communication with the current inspector. And the current inspector, I just want to clarify, is not a village employee, he's not a fire district employee, he's someone who's contracted by the fire district to do inspections. So there's been some miscommunication in the past. Since that meeting, the two members in the Public Safety Committee and I met with two of the fire district board members, the chief, the inspector, and the deputy chief at a meeting. And after a long meeting where we kind of went around, started to go around in circles for a while, as meetings go, the more people in the room, the more they go on. We decided to kind of refer it back and have the two committees, the board members from the fire district and our board members here, kind of hash it out separately. Over the holidays, I went over that IGA with a fine-tooth comb, and there's a lot of room for improvement. It's been almost 5 years now. There are parts of it that we're not even really following. There's parts where it has kind of morphed into something that it wasn't in the beginning. So I think it's time to send it back and look at it again. So I'd like to refer it back to our Public Safety Committee. I know the members of the fire district contacted me for your contact information for the two members of Public Safety. So if you guys would like to get together and kind of work on that thing and see if you can make it work out. And do you guys have anything to add to this, or?
I guess I'd be looking for any input from the rest of the board as to their thoughts and stuff like that, to be able to take to it.
So what's the goal of the review? What's the goal of the review? Is it to clean up the language? Is it to see best practices? Is there something we want out? Is there something they want out?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, all the above. I think maybe what the board has to decide is what's the goal of the whole inspection process? What are you trying to achieve? Is this something, it starts out in the IGA now that says that existing businesses are gonna be inspected. It's kind of, there's all kinds of things of inspections going on now, and it's neither good nor bad. It's just that, like I says, it's kind of morphed into, a bigger program. It's up to you guys. What do you want it to be? And what does the fire board want it to be?
I think there's some things like that moving forward, I think we'd like to see, like, to actually see the inspections, see the reports, know.
Well, I guess my biggest thing is when we had our meeting last time, their discussion is what is being told from the person doing the inspection to the businesses. Is that policy? Is that law? Is that personal opinion? Because I don't think we got those answers. And I would like, when you guys review this, to sit down and find out what message is going out to the businesses. Because whether I agree with it, or the board, or whoever agrees with it, if it's in the code or in the state law, it's got to be followed. I know know, there's things we've done in the past where we're like, we don't agree with that, but they came out and said, well, that's the law, okay, there's nothing to do about it. The last time, there was a big discussion, and it wasn't, I mean, it happened, it wasn't like he said, she said, that the inspector was saying, well, it's this number, then you need fire suppression, or it's this number, then you need it, and the question was asked, where did that come from? Well, it's just what I remember. Well, you can't do that to businesses, and that's not what this is designed for. It's to follow whatever law or whatever fire code is adopted, and that's it. It's not someone's opinion, it's not what they'd like to see, it's not where they see something somewhere else in another town. It's, let's get the code down, let's get what the law is, and relay that information to the businesses and help them comply, so no one does get hurt. I mean, that was the original goal, is to make sure
That people are safe.
businesses were safe, and if there's a fire, we're not having mass casualties. I mean, we didn't want to see anyone get hurt. I don't know what it's morphed into, I haven't been a part of an inspection in years.
And I think that's one of the things that, we'll look at, during the meeting that we had, with the fire district. I think, like trustee Kapoor was saying, not everybody's on the same page. It's the fire district, and, we found out that the fire district had, forms, when people come in, the village doesn't even, they're not aware of what they have to get done, other than, hey, you're gonna get inspected by the fire department. So I think, we're trying to find common grounds, and I'm not really too familiar with it, because, from the municipality end of it, I'm used to everything that I've dealt with municipalities, that the fire department's been part of the village. To where I think we'll have to, work on our relationships both ways, to where we can try and figure out and see. And if any trustee has some, certain insights, or if you've reviewed the ordinances and the IGA, and there's something you wanna change, bring it to our attention, or something that, you think needs to be addressed in a certain way, let us know, so this way we can go back and collaborate with the fire district and see what they wanna see from us, and we'll kind of, I guess, mediate between everybody, see what common ground we can have, to where safety is gonna be our primary concern.
There's one in here I saw where, it says that the inspections occur, and then the village is supposed to take that information and go back to, the business with it, and that's, I don't even understand how that could work, first of all, because if the inspector is there, I get inspected, so I kinda see both sides of this. So if the inspector comes in, he inspects the business, and then he hands me a report, well, of course, he's standing there, I'm gonna be talking to him. According to this, it says we're supposed to get the report and then talk to the business owner.
We have the reports, I have
Right,
them.
but then we're supposed to be communicating. The biggest issue from not just the people that came to that meeting, but other people, when I first got elected mayor, there were businesses that came to me with issues. And it has to do with the communication style exhibited, and I wrote this down so I get it right, during the inspection process. So it had to do with different communication, coming up with different messages at different times. It doesn't have to do with the quality of the inspection or anything else, just that they're not clear on what they're being told to do, and sometimes they're told one thing, they think they're doing this, they're told something else. So it's clearly about communication, but I feel like part of this is we could clean up our end of it also, and be very specific as to who does what, who says what,
I mean, and this is a program I'd like to see continue. I mean, when the chief approached me several years ago, we never had anything like this, I thought it was necessary, and was sold, the reason of fire safety, safety of the residents, the businesses, the people, going to the businesses. But from what's been out there lately, I think it's somehow changed. Yeah, hopefully you guys can get on the right track, so I'd like to see it continue.
Well, I'll give you one example of, I think, some of the things that, of concerns of ours that we'll be bringing to them, and it kind of came up in our initial meeting, but we haven't met since then, so the rest of you haven't been privy to it. For example, which I'm still not even gonna call him a business, because it's not a business, but the guy that was here with the issue. When he was here, it started out, there was talk of a suppression system, and then it came down to, well, nope, he's gotta have a 2-hour fire rating, 2-hour firewall. Well, lo and behold, after everything was done, and that's what he was told, is
it then became a 1 hour fire rating that was required. So, and that was one of the things that we brought up is, you know, there's gotta be better communication, and if the answer isn't known exactly right then and there, don't tell the businesses what they have to do if you're not 100% correct, because that's where some of these issues can come in, is to where it changes and it goes, well, one day they're being told you have to have a 2 hour fire rating, and then, you know, a day or two later, they're being told, well, nope, it's a 1 hour rating. You need a 1 hour rating on this. Well, there's a big difference there. So I think those are some of the things that kind of came up at the thing. Like I said, I wanted to kind of let you guys know, those are some of the kind of, the things we need to tweak and figure out how this can be communicated better amongst everything. And I mean, I know where the mayor is saying that, you know, Section 5 of this agreement says that the fire district will assist with the administration and enforcement of the International Fire Code 2015 as amended. You know, we've been completely left out of this process. These are some of the things that, I don't know if we gotta rewrite it any differently than that, but, you know, to me, when it says the fire district will assist with the administration and enforcement of it, that somehow the village will be involved in that process along with the fire district, and we're not. You know, there's, you know, as we're hearing, and I'm sure some of you had seen the emails, you know, there's discussion of how we gotta figure out to get water to a location where a business is being told they need to put a sprinkler system in, and there's not even water there for them to put in a fire sprinkler system. So, and this kind of, this is going back to May, right, where there was an inspection report. We received a copy of the letter where there were supposedly 16 things that were wrong there, and in this letter to the business owner, it was stated that they needed to install a sprinkler system because there was tires being stored in their facility. But we received a copy of that letter. We didn't receive a copy of any of the other what are the 16 violations. If there's, these things are being asked to be remedied within 60 days and stuff like that, to me, that's, you know, Section 5, the fire district will assist with the administration and enforcement of the International Fire Code 2015 as amended. We had no part of that yet. There's numerous inspections. You know, we hear about a business that has to move an address plate 3 feet. You know, we knew nothing about this. That business has been there for, I don't know, how long was it before it is what it is, you know what I mean? These are things that we don't even know that have happened, and
Yeah.
it's being administered and enforced strictly by the fire district, not assisting the village or the village assisting them in any way. So those are some of the things I think that are the biggest pressing issues that need to be.
It's the communication. Even the guys that came to the last meeting, their sole complaint was being given different information, like we said, but I didn't even get pulled into this. I didn't even know there was an issue until suddenly there was a meeting in this room and that there's people screaming at each other. This was before, you know, the fire district even got involved in this. I got called into a meeting one Thursday afternoon. Village administrator says, yeah, you know, we got problems, we got some upset people, and I get called into a room and the inspector's there and village administrator's there, and these guys are here and everybody's like screaming at each other. It was like, what's even happening here? But it had already gotten to the point to where tempers were just out of control. So at some point, yeah, that's one of the things we have to look at. We've got to be able to get involved in the beginning so that it doesn't get to that point where people are just that angry. So, well, in any case, so I am referring that to public safety, and then you guys can make arrangements to meet. Anybody else have any input, or are we good?
Shouldn't each branch of government have their authority more outlined? In other words, being the village, so they're not clashing so much, if they're outlined a little bit better.
Yeah, they kind of do, but that's why we had the intergovernmental agreement for this. So technically speaking, I'm not 100% sure. I think the fire district is actually able to do a lot of things on their own. They just, there's a spot where they can't enforce, where the village has to enforce. So I think that's where this agreement came into place in the first place. We wanted the safety of our you know, our businesses, and we weren't going in to do that. We don't know, we can't go in there and tell them what they should have. That's not our, you know, that's not what we do for a living. The fire district can do it, but they didn't have any authority to start going into businesses if we didn't let them, and we have the authority to fine, so that's kind of, that's why we had the intergovernmental agreement. We are two completely separate bodies, but we had to kind of get together to do this, so. All right, sounds good, that's the end of my report. Committee reports, finance and administration, trustee Kaporis.
So, just to clarify that, you'll pass it on our,
Yes, yeah, I actually gave your email addresses to, to trustee Bacher.
okay, excellent. All right, consider a motion approving the treasurer's report. Donna?
The December month-end total for the village accounts, $4,075,431.48. The December month-end for the commission accounts, $336,943.82. All combined, $4,412,375.30. The December month-end in general, $1,127,310.46. You will see that there is one new checking account in the commission / special accounts. It's police seizure. By state law, we were supposed to have a seizure and a forfeiture account, and that has now been done. The December commission non-AP payments totaled $470,186.48. That total included a payment to Brandt Excavating, which was previously approved by the village board. But other than that, just standard payroll, etc. Are there any questions? If not, that ends my report.
Thank you. So I will go ahead and make a motion approving the treasurer report for the month prior.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second?
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call.
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Caprows.
Yes. Variance reports for the previous month are enclosed for your review. And then bills. There was a few additions. Since bills were emailed, we had ComEd bill of $9,218.94. Compass Minerals road salt, $8,224.10. Safe built, $4166.72, and that's it. So I will go ahead and make a motion approving the bills in total of $88,848.15.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call.
You said $88,848.95.
$88,848.15.
We may have not changed that total.
Is that not the updated?
The two numbers might be different, I might have forgot
The one in the packet and the one here, okay.
It's $88,848.15, that's the correct amount.
Okay, that was a typo on my part. I apologize.
I think that was just the two little tiny additional corrections from earlier.
Ready for roll call?
Yeah, roll call.
Caprows,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Alright, committee to hold a workshop on the 5-year plan and the request to review Saturday or extended office hours at the village hall immediately following the regular board meeting. All invited are to stay and participate. Personnel manual has been reviewed by Labor Council and a second draft will be presented to the committee for review very soon. Budget process is set to begin. We would like to follow the same process we have used in the past, which will begin with the Finance Committee budget workshop on Saturday, February 25th, beginning at 7 AM here at the Village Hall. All are invited to attend that workshop as well. Consider a motion to hold a public hearing on the proposed budget for 7 PM on Monday, April 24th. So I will go ahead and make a motion to hold a public hearing on the proposed budget for 7 PM on Monday, April 24th.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call?
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Capros.
Yes. Consider relocation and new time for the village board meeting on Monday, March 27th, to be at the Public Works Garage, 30200 Cardinal Creek Boulevard at 6 PM. Only items which will need to be voted upon will be handled at this special meeting followed by work on the budget.
There's an address correction, it's 30251. I picked up the township building, not the public.
So does that need to be a motion to switch the location?
Yeah, we're changing the location, might as well just do it, yeah.
Okay.
6 PM.
I'll make a motion to relocate and change the time for the village board meeting on Monday, March 27th, to be at the Public Works Garage located at 30251 Cardinal Creek Boulevard at 6 PM.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, roll call?
Capros,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
That concludes my report.
Okay. Public Buildings and Properties, Parks and Recreation Committee, trustee Giannotti.
All right, consider a motion approving the purchase of light fixtures and poles for the pathway at Fireman's Park using ARPA funds in the amount of $27,322 from Lake Mart. The proposal is enclosed. So, that is for all the fixtures. For
And this
that.
is within the budget we set in the resolution for that project. if I
Yes.
recall.
Yeah, this will cover that north end of the pathway, including the parking lot. So, I would like to make a motion approving the purchase of light fixtures and poles for the pathway in Fireman's Park using ARPA funds in the amount of $27,322 from Lake Mart.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion,
How many poles did that cover? What was the final
20.
number?
20
Okay.
poles.
roll call?
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Capros.
Yes.
Consider a motion authorizing the purchase of 3 picnic tables, 8 park benches, and 2 garbage receptacles for Fireman's Park from Kirby Built in the amount of $8,781.95. That proposal is also enclosed. So I would like to make a motion authorizing the purchase of 3 picnic tables, 8 park benches, and 2 garbage receptacles for Fireman's Park from Kirby Built in the amount of $8,781.95.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call?
Capros.
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
So the pedestrian, bridge in Fireman's Park, replacement update. So me and Matt had, met a little bit to kind of discuss a couple courses of action for the bridge. Kind of, just by chance, had been walking by one of the bridges one day and noticed someone walking their dog and walking like around the pedestrian bridge on, Penfield. We were talking about putting that open grading on there. So maybe with the amount of foot traffic, kids on bikes, strollers, and pets walking across that bridge, we thought about trying to maybe find a different option. So, instead of replacing the steel plate with open, plate, we thought about maybe doing truck stacking with like a side railing, to kind of make it a little more convenient to cross. So Matt, was there anything you wanted to?
Since our conversation, we've further discovered that truck stacking is extremely slippery. So we're looking into other options since that. So I know now they make non-slip trucks, but it's a lot more expensive, but we're looking into that. So.
Can you just put like some kind of grading over it? I mean, like,
Can't you just,
no slip pads or?
can't you just do treated lumber?
That was another option that we
For
were
the time
talking
being,
about.
I mean, it gets you through, it gets a fix, and
we do gotta replace it every 10-15 years, it's not very expensive, so, yeah. We're just trying to
Yeah,
find
we're
like
just
a
thinking with
block.
with the moisture of the creek at all times, the longevity of it may not last as long, but I mean, it's something we could. The Trex, would just last a lot longer with more maintenance free, but
Yeah,
definitely something to look into.
just trying to find a maintenance-free option. Still exploring it. Let's see, public safety facility update. Architect and engineer met on December 21st to game plan the design of the building, with a May or June completion date. The decision will be made then by all of us as to when we go to bid on the project, and several factors weigh into that decision. The architect then met with the chief of police and several officers to fine tune the floor plan, and a new draft of the plan will be provided. I believe it's on the table for you.
Yep.
Much attention was placed on how to properly design the facility for safety, process, and bond out of an arrest.
The key now is to get your department to sign off on the floor.
We got one little minor tweak and we're all of us are good with it.
Okay, then we can go to design, and that's the key to keep on the schedule.
We're right there.
Okay. It was a great deal. Lots of good ideas.
Hey Bob, has Piggish been out to do any topo on that yet?
Don't believe so. No, but they have the authority to do topo and the soil borings.
Okay.
But they were waiting for us to say the footprint of the building is set, so
Gotcha.
they can. put
They can
the
work
borings
off
in the right
that.
spot, and that's where the police department comes in with the sign off.
Okay.
All right, and then, private pickle update. The superintendent met with HCH, court pouring, and they recommended a new coating of asphalt, before applying any product. The administrator and school superintendent met and verbally agreed to the contents of an IGA. The outline is enclosed, and the village attorney is drafting it for adoption by both parties later this month. And, that concludes my report.
Yeah, we did hand out the HCA floor proposal to everybody, so they can look at it. I don't know if you saw that, Joe.
Oh,
Saw that.
yeah, okay.
Everybody has a color
Sitting
copy
right in
of
front of
that.
me.
Pile of 20,000 papers.
So, yeah, so that's
So
closed.
that's just one proposal that will move from there.
So, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee, trustee Stacy.
Thank you, Mayor. I got a couple other things too, but our monthly report is enclosed for your review. And I would also like to recognize the police department, since today is Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Chief. Excellent guys under your force there. And Bob Hine, EMA, which they don't get recognized for that, but they do an excellent job too. And I also want to thank Superintendent Connor. I went out plowing for about an hour and a half, 2 hours of last snow. We had a good time.
Yep.
And that's my report, Mayor.
All right. Public Safety Committee, trustee Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. The police department monthly report's enclosed for everybody's review. Chief, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No.
The EMA monthly report is also in there. Director Hine? anything?
No, I'm good.
Very good. Code enforcement is good as well. Results to our Holiday with Heroes project. We had the opportunity, we had that several the families that were there. I know there was a couple of families, I think they were sick. Somebody was in the hospital, and they made arrangements to come pick up stuff at a little bit after. I think it was very successful. It was held at the fire department. They hosted, they did a phenomenal job hosting.
Thanks to the board members that shop, appreciate
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yep, and that, trying to think what else as far as, with your year in advance plan, and looking to, we're looking to continue those efforts. So, also too, the results for our new snow parking ordinance. Chief's got, with code enforcement, we didn't quite actually issue any citations. I think the most plowing and stuff that we had was because of the drifting. I don't think we actually had 2 inches, so.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
specifically.
Yeah, so our plan that's in set is, it'll be issued a warning citation, and then that stuff will be documented and, filed. There's a database system that code enforcement officers put together, and then after that, first warning, your second violation will necessarily take your citation. So, and that's all I have for the, snow parking ordinance. And then, we have a part-time officer that's gonna be starting, later in January. The board had already approved his hire, and, he's ready to come full-time, or come part-time. And, one of his things that we're looking forward to is just the truck enforcement, background that he has, so.
I have a question. When we put this guy on, do you have enough part-timers on your roster, or do you wish to have additional part-timers?
Additional.
So we should start advertising for them, correct? Try to get some
We
recruit.
have, one candidate right now, we're waiting, I believe the commission is waiting for more before we interview. So it would be good if we advertise.
Should we run another ad on Blue Line?
We can.
Okay.
Is the applicant, already law enforcement or? Does he have to go
From
to the
town.
academy?
He does not have the academy, he'd have to go
Would
to
he have to go
academy.
to, when's the next part-time academy?
March, it looks like March, I don't know if we can get him in because we just found that out today, but, yeah, there is a part-time academy starting in March.
So then we would probably should review that, the things in March. No, I mean, for long.
It's a revolving door with part-timers. You wanna keep them coming in as they
Yeah.
go.
And we just found out today that that the academy was in March, because I know we talked about it, or sent emails back and forth.
Yeah.
Last week, so.
When was the background for the one that's starting in January? When was his background done? Was it done initially when we interviewed him, or was it done when we accepted him?
The
Like
guy
when
we're
he
gonna hire in
started.
January is,
Yeah.
currently a truck enforcement officer, he works at Orland Hills.
I know, but when you did his background, did you do it, what was that, like 8, 9 months ago?
No, I just did it
Just
now,
did it,
when I
okay.
knew he, because remember when we first hired him, he didn't,
Yeah, he
he didn't
wasn't.
jump on board, so, we.
I was curious when his background was done.
No,
but it
we're
was
actually, I
recent.
still have to talk to the police chief, and then it'll be done with the background.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then, consider a motion authorizing the purchase of a 2021 Ford Explorer having 22,754 miles and a 150,000 mile warranty from Diorzio Ford of Wilmington. We've been researching the price for a used car for the proposed budget for the police current vehicle, which he has right now is a 2011 Chevy Traverse. And we were offered a vehicle, and it was shown actually in your packet at the Ford dealership, and we were able to purchase this vehicle for $25,000. It's not a police package, but the police chief's going to use it as an administrative car to where it's not a pursuit car, to where I think it would be very good for the chief. It's got 4-wheel drive, it's an SUV. We're anticipating it to last about 6 to 8 years. It's got the low mileage, good warranty. We've talked with the EMA director, and him and his crew decided that they would go ahead and outfit it with the radio and stuff to where it would be no cost for setting it up. We would just have to pay for the initial purchase of the vehicle.
His old car's a piece of crap, you can say it.
Yeah, I'm trying
I can see you struggling.
Trying to be
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
When the
It
check
is.
engine
I
light
mean-
doesn't turn off.
Well,
Check
when
engine
not
on, light
all
turn
windows
off.
work, yeah.
You go in there, you
It's-
can't roll the window down, so.
And you got a Carfax report on this car.
Yeah,
Looking at it
yeah,
right
no,
now,
it's
it's clean.
It's got no.
She took one for the team for a while with that car, so it's time to get a new one.
So, make a motion to authorize the purchase of a 2021 Ford Explorer having 22,754 miles and a 150,000 mile warranty from Diorzio Ford of Wilmington.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion?
Does the 25,000 cover is the 150 an extended warranty?
It's covered in.
It's covered in the 25, okay.
Okay, roll call?
Do you wanna include the $25,000 amount in the motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I will do that then.
Motion so amended.
Thank you.
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Capros.
Yes.
Alright,
Can I do it?
that's okay. And that concludes my report.
We're all off our game tonight. Public Works Committee, trustee Kraus.
Thank you. Public Works, Water Department, and Sewer Department monthly reports are enclosed for your review. Water billing register for the months of November and December is enclosed for review. Happy to report that the bill to pump ratio is over 75% during this period compared to 70% last year, and a 10-year average of 64%. Consider payment in the amount of $27,844.96 to Grant Excavating as final payment on the lead line removal program, subject to receipt of funds by the IEPA loan program. Invoice and recommendation payment is enclosed. So I'll make a motion to pay the amount of $27,844.96 to Brant Excavating as final payment on the lead line removal program, subject to receipt of funds by the IEPA loan program.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion? Roll call?
Capros,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes. Will County advises Village of Indiana Avenue will be resurfaced from Dixie to Route 15 this year. See the enclosed letter. The village may be on the hook for some ADA requirements as part of the project. Well, not may, we will be, won't we? Because I read that letter and it said we will be responsible. So what?
Yeah, so I talked to the county engineer and they're gonna be supplying us with an ADA compliant list of everything that needs to be taken care of there, and there's a possibility of a 50-50 split. So, but we won't know anything of what that cost is gonna be until they get their report done, and basically they're just gonna hand it to us and say, this is your share that you have to do because of the IGA, where we are responsible for maintaining the sidewalks.
So how does that work? They go out to bid, they bid everything, and then say, this is what you're responsible for, here's your portion?
Pretty much.
I would assume.
Yeah, pretty much. But of course, the guy I was talking to couldn't verify that because that's somebody else's division, you know, so.
And how do they get this 50-50? Is that something we gotta apply for a grant or?
No, there's no grant. He made it sound like that was
Fingers crossed type of thing? Like,
pretty much,
how
yeah.
does this one?
Yeah, but I mean, you read the same letter. It
the
mentioned,
whole thing?
it mentioned a 50-50 in there, but we'll have to see. I mean, I don't know if we're talking 5,000 or 500,000. We have no idea.
And he said too that 2023 is a target date. They don't even know if they're gonna do it in 23.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They're just planning,
Yeah.
so.
I went out and inspected the sidewalks, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be taken care of. If we have a plan in place already, then we're on the hook 100%. So we technically don't have anything in place. We kind of just do our sidewalk replacement program by resident complaints, or where we have, you know, issues throughout the year or whatever. So there are quite a few areas though, so we may be on the hook for quite a bit if they decide. I don't know what their parameters are. He did verify that the walking bridges across the creek are not part of the ADA. It's only going to be the approaches from the road. So anywhere that like the throat of the road enters, like say Catalpa or Maxwell, anything in those, the approaches there, kind of like what they did on Dixie Highway here, the state did last year. So we kind of in a waiting period. Just gotta see what they come up with for us and go from there.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
CMAP releases a report from the Beecher Urban Forest. CMAP released a report of each municipality in the Chicago area. Beecher is enclosed. Using infrared imaging, CMAP has been able to identify the correlation between surface temperature and tree canopy. Our situation has gotten worse due to the loss of many trees because of the emerald ash borer. This data is being used to secure federal grant funding for urban reforestation, which may be forthcoming.
And we let them know we would like Of course, Matt doesn't wanna hear this, but we would like to have a lot more street trees on our streets. So we applied for federal funding, see what happens.
Great.
Street trees, you have like a slang term or?
Street trees, parkway trees,
Okay.
they call them street trees in effect.
You learn something new every day, I'm taking that one. I'm stealing that one. Did you see the street trees down there? Beautiful, beautiful. That's all I have.
I got two things for Public Works, and Matt, you met with IDOT this afternoon on our infamous manhole at Route 1 in Hodges.
He is
Is there any
checking,
updates?
he is checking with his boss.
Okay, but I think, you know, we've had calls into the village hall regarding that manhole, and
He-
it's
he's-
IDOT's road.
He stated if it's the asphalt that's failing, that they will probably take care of it, but if it's the actual structure underground, that we're gonna be responsible for that and fixing the roadway if the structure failed.
That sounds fair. I mean,
Yeah,
it's our
I
sewer.
get it.
Yeah, well, I
Um,
don't think it's.
but they-
structure.
So how's that determination made?
By his,
I-
by
We
his
think
boss.
that they poured concrete,
come
when they
outside
redid the
yours.
road,
Yeah.
they poured concrete up to 2 inches below grade, and then they put a 2-inch layer of asphalt. on
Asphalt,
top.
which isn't
That's
gonna,
what's cracking up.
yeah, it's not gonna hold up to the semis, obviously. I mean, you need 8 inches or more for semi-traffic, and so,
So will
again,
they do like a core
yeah.
sample or something, or?
No, for the time being, he's gonna check with his boss and get back to, I'm sure it's just gonna get kicked back to us. And we patched it, Friday, and it seems to be holding up a little bit. It seems to be holding up okay for the time being. I think next year, though, we can't do anything with it now besides keep continuously cold patching it. Next year, though, that might be part of our asphalt patching. We will have to dig down 10, 12 inches around each manhole, and, because they're all breaking up. I mean, it's, they poured all of them that way. We watched them do it, and like Bob said, they poured concrete up to 2 inches and then put 2 inches asphalt
They
over
should
it.
have put the concrete
That-
right up to grade.
Yeah, our walking path in Fireman's Park is 3.5, so, I mean, I don't know why they thought they would hold, and that's what I'm trying to get them to push it back on Iroquois, because Iroquois is the one that did that, but we'll see how it all plays out. I'm sure we'll end up having to do it, because they're not gonna take
Well, it had to be
responsibility.
designed that way. I mean, Iroquois just wouldn't have done it that way. They
I don't
probably
know.
had a print that said that's how you do it.
Right.
I don't know. But that's it's a hot topic amongst the residents, is that manhole, I know it is.
Yeah.
And then we have a water tower inspection scheduled for Wednesday. Guys are gonna come out and inspect our water tower.
Structural inspection,
Yeah.
including the radio antennas and everything that's up top. He's gonna climb the tower Wednesday afternoon, so if you see a random guy climbing the tower, don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal.
It's not Spider-Man?
It's not Spider-Man or, yeah,
We got a jumper, huh?
no.
Please don't get on that. Anything else? Now we're done.
All right. Economic Development Community Relations Committee, trustee Gianardi.
I have nothing to report this time.
All right. Any old business to come before the board? Any new business to come before the board? We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Well, there seems to be a motion and a second. Roll call. Kraus?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Gianardi?
Yes.
Caprows?
Yes.